And that was Welcome to My Church, the national anthem, and of course, the Pledge of Allegiance, which we start each show off with that. This is Paul Jones. It is now 9:05 Eastern Standard Time, and we are coming to you live from the studios in between Ron's Roost and the closed Steak and Shake. And I am sitting here this morning talking with, man, you are a country dude, man. Duane Parker from Alabama, right?
Yes, sir. We come to Alabama.
And Duane's a very interesting guy. I ran across him. We're going to play his latest couple songs off of his latest album, Bottle of Survival. And but man, I'm going to let you do most of your introduction, but there is something that I got to point out. And I want to ask, what year was it that Duane Parker wrestled a 650 pound bear named Terrible Ted, and you got your leg broken in 7 places?
Yes, sir. It was 1993 at a place called Southern Station in between Sylacauga and Alexandria City in Alabama. I was emceeing a show, and it was only 3 of us that fought him, and he broke my leg at 7 places, and the show was over.
I was just gonna say, show's over, folks. Duane can't stand up.
I had an old boy try to set it out there in the back of the pickup truck. I said, let me get up on stage and I'll do 3 more sets. I got 3 more to go because I didn't have it. That's how I get paid. Well, they put the guitar in my hand and I blacked out and wiped out a 20-piece drum set.
Did you get paid?
I didn't get nothing, man. I'm telling you.
Oh my God, that's funny. Duane and I had a conversation the other day. We did like a little pre-interview, and Duane, I'm just going to give you just a little more background. Duane's been playing music, and I swear when I look at the picture of your younger days, you weren't as handsome as you are now back in your younger days.
It's the beard.
Right. It's the beard. You're way more handsome today than you were, but I could swear to be God, man. I ran into you. I know down there. We talked about being in Nashville in the '90s. You look very, very familiar, and you've had a really incredible career. But now you're 52 years old. Am I getting that right?
Yes, sir.
And you are back on the fast track. You're back to pushing. And but give a little bit of your background. When did you get started in this thing called music?
Well, my dad. Give you a little bit of background. He was a Vietnam vet, and when he got out, I was born in Wiesbaden, Germany, on the Rhein-Main Air Force Base, January 12th, 1971. And he was my hero, you know. And he played guitar and sang. He was a honky tonker. And I started when I was 7 years old with a little old Telestar Sears nothing box guitar that had catgut strings on it. He told me if I could play the Wildwood Flyer, he'd buy me a guitar. And so I learned, and my first guitar's back up there behind me right there, that Yamaha right there. That was the very first guitar when I was 9. And but when I was around 5 years old, I think, he got me up at a little old fair he was playing, and I sang Kalijah. And the crowd went nuts, and I knew right then, man, I got to do this the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So, I left home when I was 16, and I started playing honky tonks. I used to have to sign waivers saying I wouldn't drink nothing, and I was in and out of honky tonks from there up till the story of this hat. And that was probably 2000, around 2003. I still stayed active up in the, 2005, 8, but I took me a long break. And
yeah. Well, you shared with me because you've had, I don't know, man. The word success to me means more, it's different than what it means to other people. To me, anybody that can do what they love is a success. It's not measured by monetary value or anything like that to me. I'm very blessed. I have made a living doing things that I love to do. And you certainly were on that track. And then you shared with me, and I want you to share the story of when you really stopped playing, if you don't mind.
Well, yeah, it was, I had made it just about to where I was signing with Mercury Records, and, we had a lot of good things going, and I was a guest of John Conley on the Grand Ole Opry. And I found out 15 minutes before I was to go on stage that my father had died. And, that was, my manager wouldn't let me perform. And it really hurt. That was like salt in the wound. You find out your dad died, and then you can't perform on the Grand Ole Opry. And that's my only goal I had in my life, was play on the opera for my dad. And so that brings around his hat at Robert's Boot World or whatever it is there on Broadway Street.
Right.
Show boots for the opera that night. And I'd quit playing there for a while, and I had them sewed into a hat.
Oh my God.
So there's a lot of sewing in his hat.
a lot. Yeah. And so go ahead.
So I kind of, it really hurt to pick up a guitar after that for a long time, and here I'm going to say about 9 months ago, my wife's grandma has dementia, and we was over there hanging out with her, and she couldn't remember quite why I'd quit. She said, why'd you quit playing music? And I said, well, the man I was doing it for, he ain't here no more. She said, you're selfish. I said, ma'am. She said, you're selfish. And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, everybody wants to hear you, and you just ain't playing for them. So promise me you'll do it for me. And I got up, and I hugged her, and I promised her. And the good Lord has took over since then. So here we go. And it's snowballing. It's going good.
Well, buddy, I'm telling you right now that the story, number one, just gives me chills. And we talked a little bit the other day, and it's amazing how God works, right? It's just amazing that the timing and things like that, the things that take place, and the words from your wife's grandmother, and things like that to inspire. Because I tell you, when I listen to your music, Duane, it just reeks of emotion, and your voice is, I came up with something today, and I don't know if there's a song called this, but I was sitting in the garage this morning smoking a cigar and drinking coffee, doing my health regimen, and I text myself this, and maybe we can work on this, or maybe we can't, but you know what? You're just too damn country for country.
Yeah, it's funny because old Dolly Parton back in the day, she said, I did a songwriter's thing, and she actually put on one of my feedbacks that I was country as a gourd dipper.
I'm telling you, man, you are country. You are that is what country music needs again. They need guys like you to bring it back around, because country music is not today. I don't believe it's even close to what it is supposed to be.
It is not anywhere. I mean, it's muddied up. It reminds me of the story in the Bible with the manna, how it used to be sweet and nice, and they ground it up and it'd be like powder. It's not country anymore. Yeah. They think if they can take and write a song about mud and tractors and girls and beer, that it's country, and it ain't. I remember I was getting mad when I seen this guy on stage with these holy jeans on that he had bought for God amount of money, you know. And I was upset because I wore the holes in my jean belt and hay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, what's funny to me, or maybe not funny to me, is, you know, all when you listen to all the artists out there. Number one, so many of them, I won't say all, but so many of them, they all sound the same. They all collage together.
Cookie
And
cut.
you can really look at that entertainer, you can look at that artist. Number one, I always check: did they write the song? Right? Did they write it, or did they shop it out? Which doesn't really matter because you can select a song that resonates to you. But
Right.
do they, not only the words that they're singing, did they live those words, or are they just trying to pretend they lived them? Like you
And
said
that's
with the jeans.
Yeah, you know, I lived it, and all my songs, the stories behind it. There is a story behind every one of my songs, and now I have taken other people's songs and made it mine, kind of because I felt it. You know, you
Right.
got to feel it in your heart to make the crowd feel it, and if you can't make the crowd feel it, then you don't have their attention.
And I think not only can you make the crowd feel it, but do they believe you've lived it, or do they believe you when you're saying the words, right?
Yes, and you know, a lot of them are just amazed sometimes at they can't. Some of them are just in awe because they can't really believe it or fathom the fact that yeah, this boy went through all that stuff. But I
Right.
can prove a bit of it. You know, it's just fun. But I love to write. You know, when I was young, my brother was 2 years older than me, and he had friends first, and they was all too big to play with the kid. You know,
Yeah.
I had my guitar and that was my release, you know, was learning to write and get and sing. And that was my release of my therapy kind of, you know.
Right. Well, that's what
Yeah.
it is. I mean, I think almost any art form is a release, you know, whether you're painting or whatever. I mean, to me, a song is a painting. It should be,
It is.
you know,
That's
and there's exceptions to the rule, but it's a painting. It's your soul. It's what you are, and it's what you are in that moment. And or do you find, you know, maybe you're talking to somebody and you see them going through something, and you can feel it. So then you write it, and it's not necessarily you, but you're able to you're able to make people feel that same moment.
right, you know. And I got so much stuff in my head right now. It's funny about what I want to say. Wetumpka, Alabama, where I'm at, it's an art town. My friend Don Sawyer, he's from Florida. He's a famous painter, and he's a big fan of mine. And you know, that's what I told him. We had the same conversation, kind of, and I told him I paint with sound.
Right.
But you know, that's kind of where I'm at with my art. And but I do all the rest of it too. I chainsaw art. I carve.
Oh,
I
very
carve.
nice.
Rock, I paint. You know, I did this with a chicken feather. So you know, whatever it is, I got to get it out of me somehow, and that's my thing. You know, Dad was he was a honky tonker, and when I was probably 13, he became a preacher. So I went from seeing people getting thrown out of plate glass windows to have to burn my Elvis records, which was weird. And you know, I left home when I was 16, but he was still my best friend the whole time, and no matter what I did, he was behind me. So, and all that on my first album on that we released there, that was really like my third one, but the others was bootleggers. Remember? No,
Right, right.
Dad told me there's a song on there I wrote, another cowboy's junkie, and I had read. This is funny. I read it at a story in a Playboy magazine about these girls going to New York and getting hooked up on heroin, and I said, well, I want to write a song in country music that hadn't been wrote before. So I wrote one about one of those girls. And my dad, I called him up. I said, "Hey, listen to this song I wrote." And I sang it. And he just sat there with his mouth open. And he said, "Wow, son." He said, "You know what? If you could ever get that on radio, you'd reach more people with that than I ever would in a pulpit."
Oh wow, man! I wish I wish I'd have pulled that thing down. I will end up maybe close the show out with that after I pull it down, and then I'll edit it in. Because what I've got, as a matter of fact, what I'd like to do right now for the people listening is I want to play Bottle of Survival first. That's the title track on the album, right?
Yeah, I wrote that in 5 minutes in the shower. I jumped out and told my old lady, I said, "Hey, baby, I wrote me a number one."
What would you like to tell me about that before we spin it?
I had a long talk with some buddies one night over a glass of something. I forget what it was at the time.
Well, it was probably moonshine then, if you forget.
And we was discussing the death of Keith Whitley and Lori Morgan. What if it had happened in reverse? And I was had went through a divorce at the time. He was having a bad time with his love life also, and so all this stuff just melted into my head and popped out a song.
All right, man. Well, I'm going to play Bottle of Survival. I'm talking to Duane Parker out of Alabama, who is we're not even going to say you're on a comeback trail. You are just on your trail. You just changed paths for a little bit, and he is now back exactly where he needs to be. And we want you to make sure you go and check him out online. I'll give you that website in a little bit, also on Spotify. But this is Bottle of Survival. We'll be back in 3 minutes. And talking to Duane Parker, coming to you live from the studios on Race Road. Here's Bottle of Survival.
She's got a bottle of survival on the nightstand by the Bible, by the bed where a picture used to be, and a worn-out record's playing so she can hear Haggard singing all the songs that remind her of me. Then the memories start flowing out her eyes. Can't you see her body shaking? Hear the desperation in her cries. Late at night, she's got a little more survival in the bottle by the Bible, while she fills my t-shirt with her memory. As she brushed in guitar strings, and in her mind she'll hear me sing a song by the love that used to be. Then the memories start flowing from her eyes. Can't you see her body shaking? I hear the desperation in her cries. Late at night, takes another shot of liquor, maybe to fix her one more time. One more time. But there ain't no more survival in the bottle by the Bible, by the bed where an angel's heart once beat, and the worn-out record's playing. No matter how he sings it, oh, Haggard, he can't sing it back to me. And the memories start flowing from my eyes. Can't you see my body shaking? Hear the desperation in my cries. Late at night, got a little more survival in the bottle by the Bible, by the bed where we once used to sleep.
And that was a Bottle of Survival by Duane Parker, who we're talking to right now, and he's got a whole lot of road in that hat. He explained that for those of you tuning in. That hat is made from the boots, from his boots, and man, that's number one. That's a cool story. But dude, that's a great song. And like I said while we were off the air, I mean, you are country, man. You are the your voice is just crazy. The songs you write are amazing. I was listening to you all this morning. I listened to all your stuff yesterday, and when we first hooked up, and very talented man, and just certainly do appreciate it.
I got something funny to tell you. I did an interview with Claire Dove. She was out of England. She's a songwriter for Justin Timberlake, of all people.
Okay.
And she says, "Mr. Parker, I don't want to offend you by calling you country." I said, "No, ma'am." When they look it up in the dictionary, they'll have a picture of me, and she said, "But on another note, Mr. Parker, how you going to keep up with the younger generation since you're old school country?" I said, "Well, ma'am, on my new album, I got a song, I Think My Truck's on Crack." She said, "Oh my God, I got to hit it." You got my address.
Oh my God, my truck's on crack.
Yes, sir.
Well, you know what? Here's what I think, man, and this is just my opinion. That doesn't mean anything, not based on statistics, but I would say that the average young person, especially when I look at like my son Alex, who's 35 years old, he's listened to the Hank and the Merles, and he likes that. That's country to him. You know what I mean? And so that's exciting to know that these younger people that are in their mid to late 20s to early 30s to mids, that they appreciate the old country, and you would just like to see that come back a little bit. Yeah. I'm not going to say that all the stuff that they're putting out is. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they don't respect the other stuff as much,
Well, I'm seeing that they're coming back. They're coming back to like the roots of music on all genre levels. I mean, like the old 60s and 70s music. That's what my son's listening to that stuff. His friends are listening to really good music that has some structure to it and some story, as opposed to just this garbage crap that seems to be getting pumped out.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I always have stuff going on in my head. It's like I got 5 jukeboxes. And when I write a song, it comes out words and tune at the same time, and it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
That's a songwriter. I do songwriter conventions, and they say that the creative side's on one side of your brain, and the music part, and then the words are on the other side. And they told me I probably write with both of them at the same time.
Well, you got your guitar in hand, and we talked a little earlier about maybe playing us something. Again, when we did that little sound check, you was just back it up just a little bit, and the audio on here should not spike out. Would you like to? I'd like you to play us a song or two here.
Yeah, I want to do you one. It's kind of funny. I was talking about the older country. I was headed up to Nashville. Bobby Tomberlin, he wrote One More Day for Diamond Rio. There are a lot of people who's done this stuff, but anyway, he had one of the stages, and I didn't know it at the time. But I had to write a song to introduce myself, and I'm not good about talking about myself like that. So I was like, wow. what do I do? So 3 months later, I'm headed up 65 toward Nashville, and I still hadn't wrote a song. I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to wing it or something. And Johnny Cash had just died, and everybody and their brother was coming on the radio. Hello, I'm Johnny Cash. Hello, I'm Johnny Cash. And I got tired of it, so I cut the radio on something else up around Birmingham, and I didn't hear nothing else out of it till I got about Huntsville. And old Tim McGraw come on there and said, hello, I'm Johnny Cash. I said, Tim McGraw, you would make a hair on his back. So from the Nashville, from the Alabama, Tennessee line to Nashville, Tennessee, I wrote a song to introduce myself to them. I never played it before in my life. Got out of the truck with my guitar, hit the stage, got standing ovation for it and everything. And I said, I didn't even know how. I never played it before. I said, well, I'm gonna kick it off since it's a songwriter's thing. I'll just kick it off with a Johnny Cash lick and make them look at me like, what's he doing? This is a songwriter thing. He's coming out with a Johnny. Well, I surprise you. This is on my album, my new album, When a Honky Tonk Heart Needs a Heal. So this is how I introduce myself, right? Hey, yo, I ain't Johnny Cash. I'ma never hang out with old Hank Jr., smoke old Willie's grass. And it ain't because I ain't man enough, it's because I ain't had the chance. And for all you all that don't know my name, hello, I ain't Johnny Cash. Well, my mama don't know I'm crazy, she thinks I'm borderline insane. Says I've been wild since I was a child, and that my pappy's to blame. For making me run the moonshine whiskey for candy and pocket change. And then I'd kick back when the sun went down, and I'd make sports my stage. I'd say, hey, yo, I ain't Johnny Cash. I'ma never hang out with old Hank Jr., smoke old Willie's grass. And it ain't because I ain't man enough, it's because I ain't had the chance. And for all you all who don't know my name, hello, I ain't Johnny Cash. Well, I wrestled a bear named Terrible Ted back in 1993. And he bit my arm and it broke my leg 7 times under my knee. And then he hit my head so doggone hard, I saw stars and I couldn't see. With little Jack K, I was back singing, who the heck is me? I don't know y'all, but I ain't Johnny Cash. I'ma never feel old George Jones' shoes, smoke old Willie's grass. And it ain't because I ain't man enough, it's because I ain't had the chance. And for all you all who don't know my name, hello, I ain't Johnny Cash.
Oh, dude, you are twisted in the head, man. That is so awesome. God, I can't. Now, when's that album coming out, my brother?
It's getting pressed by disc makers now, and it should be out in the middle of April. I was told between the 12th and 20th. So
okay, you'll have to.
They get over that. You get shirts and CDs. We'll figure out. We're gonna have a release party, and I'm gonna do some kind of a deal where if you get a T-shirt and a CD at the same time, we'll have we'll talk about that. But yeah, it's a fun album. Let you say, I had a buddy of mine the other day tap in and said, man, I'm glad to see you back on top of things. I was like, man, I never left. I just sat down and enjoyed the view for a minute.
Well, one thing's for sure, man. I am glad that we ran into each other here, and you'll have to keep me posted on the release of that. And what I'd like to do is buy. So are you pressing vinyl or CDs?
CDs. I want to do vinyl, but that'll come later.
Yeah. It's so daggone expensive to press vinyl, and but it's a cool thing to do. And one thing's for sure. What I'd like to do, man, I'd like to pony up and buy 10 of those CDs from you, but I'll need you to take the plastic off and sign them, and then we'll give them out to people that listen or come on the show, stuff like that. I'll take 10 of those off of you right off the bat. You're almost gold.
I love it, man. I appreciate it. It's fun album to do. It was everything on there. Like I say, already has a story, but I've tried to keep it. I've got two of them that's real solid gold, sure enough. Country is grits, and the others is country also, but they're more up, not really upbeat, but the words, the stories behind them is something that people can relate to. Just like my Truck's on Crack. That's a fun one. My buddy, he worked for me, and he come up at the time I was building houses, and I hadn't seen him for a week and a half. And he's like, first thing he said to me is, "Hey, you got a cigarette?" And I was like, "Yeah." I said, "Where you been?" He said, "Man, my old lady took off in my truck, man. Had my wallet, my tool, my phone, and everything." He said, "Man, I ain't had nothing." He said, "Man, I told you she was running around on you." He said, "No, man, it ain't her. I'm telling you, it ain't her." I said, "Yeah, she's running around on you. I told you." He said, "No, man, it ain't her." So we argued about it for about 15 minutes. I finally said, I figured out your problem. He said, "What is it?" I said, "Your Truck's on Crack." So I had to write a song about it.
Oh my God. I can't wait to hear that. I can't wait.
Oh, yeah, I've got When a Honky Tonk Heart Needs to Heal. And my favorite one off of there is probably the one I wrote about working away from home, called "Making a Living Fighting the Blues."
Okay.
And then I've got She's Got Her Bud, and I've got mine. I got one on there.
You're kind of very resemblant in your titling and I haven't heard the songs, but you're kind of very resemblant in the just the old days, man. They wrote songs that just were so obscure in the thinking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yes, it's hardly. Now my daughter, she did ask me to do one on there for her, and I did. I did braiding pine needles.
Okay.
And I got a tattoo of a deer right here on my arm with braided pine needles around it. Because in the middle of the divorce, she come see me every other week or whatever. And during the summer, I had her, and deer season would come, and I'd take her hunting with me, and she'd be there. And I got tired of throwing rocks to make her look, because there wasn't no deer coming through. We was making noise. So I'd braid pine needles and throw it at her, and she'd braid them and throw them at me, and we'd get a pile, and I'd make her bracelets, and she'd take them home and put them in her jewelry box till they disintegrated. But I went out one day, and I was hunting, and she wasn't with me. And the blues just hit me real bad, so I picked up a pine needle and I braided it, and I got to crying. I said, I can't hunt like this. So I headed back to the house and wrote that song, Braiding Pine Needles, for her. It's on there. So that's
is that let me ask you this, Duane, is that something you'd be willing to share with us today?
I can do that.
All right. Well, what I want to do, I want to spin another one. I'm talking to Duane Parker out of Alabama there, and as you can see, this guy's as real gets. He's got a whole can of real spray all over him, that's for sure. And I wanna spin this Another Lonely Day, because I love this song. I'll tell you, I have not found one. Go ahead.
I've got to tell you this. There's 2 songs on that CD that was requested for me to do that I did not write, and that happens to be one of them.
Okay.
And that was Bob Della Posta, the professor of music at Tennessee State University, and I'm so honored to have done his song on there.
Oh man,
And
that's awesome.
that was Bob's, so I got to give him kudos. I had lunch with him at Old Charlie's in Nashville in January, and told him how good they are doing. Another Lonely Day and No One Loves Her Anymore. The only two I did not write on that album, but this was Bob Della, and I love it. It's so awesome. That's why I picked it out.
Well, you sure did pick a winner here, man. And like I said, I've not found a single one that didn't have some sort of resonance with me. And then, of course, throw in the fact of your voice. I have to just, again, go back to the way you sing and the way it sounds is just truly what I grew up with as knowing country music. But I'm going to spend another lonely day. We'll be back in 3 minutes and 35 seconds. And then we maybe have Duane share Braden Pine Needles with us, and then close it out of respect for your time. So I'll be back in 3 minutes and 35 seconds. And this is Another Lonely Day by Duane Parker, my new friend that wears his boots on his head.
Went to the mailbox, your letter, it didn't come in today. I can't help wondering what it is you didn't have to say. Oh, the telephone ain't ringing, no one's knocking on the door. Your memory's the only thing coming around here anymore. It's just another lonely day in a life of me without you. Oh, the nights ain't getting better, all the seems last forever, and my dreams are like a book of a love that should have been. And though I try to turn the pages, the story never changes. But what's the use? I know how it ends. Just another lonely day in a life of me without you. On the living room wall, your picture keeps staring back at me. I ain't living on this house of our old used to be. Here comes another sundown, and you're still not coming back. You think by now that I'd learn how to accept the cold hard fact. It's another lonely day in a life of me without you. Oh, the nights ain't getting better, all they seem to last forever, and your dreams are like the book of a love that should have been. And though I try to turn the pages, the story never changes. But what's the use? I know how it ends. It's just another lonely day in a life me without you. Though I try to turn the pages, the story never changes. And what's the use? I know how it ends. And just another lonely day in a life of me without you. It's another lonely day in a life of me without you.
And that was Another Lonely Day by my new buddy, Duane Parker, who I want y'all to make sure you go and check him out. His website is dparker.simdif.com. Again, that's dparker.simdif.com. And you can go and read up about him and his battle with the bear and his broken leg in 7 spots and all kinds of good stuff. And I encourage everybody to make sure you go to his Spotify page. As you know, that's where I send everybody. And make sure you like and follow him and save the playlist and all that stuff. And I think go to the contact page on his website. And please make sure you sign up. It's so important to be on our mailing list because Spotify's and things like that don't give us the opportunity to communicate with people. And, he's got this album coming out, and he has agreed to sing the song Braided Pine Needles, right?
Yeah.
And that's an honor because his album's not been released yet. I'm going to punch up about 10 copies of that, maybe more, and send them out to people that would want them. And he's going to sign them, of course. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Well, hey, I'm going to turn it back over to you, my brother.
Yeah, that signing thing, I sign with a little X because they always say, wow, Dad signs with a big X. I'm Junior. No. Hey, see this guy right here?
Yeah.
I'll tell you more about him. He's a rock. I carved him out of a rock with some needle files. So an old skeleton in the back. But I'm going to do this as a shout out to my dad because I do everything for him. He's been gone a long time. This is a skeleton of a man that's left behind after war. And this is the emotion face that you have to wear every day to get through life. And on top is a military hat with the initials TATS that stand for to all that serve. So my hat's off to all military man, woman. I love you. Thanks for your service.
That is awesome, man. God bless you.
This is from my daughter, Stormy Brook. Braiding pine needles, thinking of you. You was a kid. It's what we would do when we were deer hunting, nothing fall through. Braiding pine needles, thinking of you. Now you're all grown up, life of your own. I never see you, never at home. Go to the woods, I get the blue. Reading pine needles, thinking of you. Reading pine needles, thinking of you. You was a kid. What we would do when we were deer hunting, nothing walk through. Start braiding pine needles, making bracelets for you. Love you, Storm.
Oh man, that is awesome, brother. That is awesome, man. That is very awesome. You know, it's amazing. It's amazing what comes out of people. You know what they write, and you know I'm a lyric guy. I believe every song has to just have something, just reach somewhere, and that one certainly does, and as most of yours do. But tell me, Duane. While we got about 10 minutes left. I want to be respectful of your time. I know you're busy because you told me you've been playing a ton. What do you got coming up? What's the big plan here?
Well, I just have, I've been doing a lot of solo stuff, and but I've hooked up with a great bunch of people here. My next show is on the 25th of Saturday at Big Star Tavern out of Prattville, Alabama on 82. And I've got the legendary Don Lynch playing steel guitar for me. And man, he is like so super awesome. Uh, this lady I just met off of the internet, well, I forget a band, somewhere off the web. She found me, and her name is Judy. She plays fiddle, and she's played with some of Ricky Skaggs' band members and stuff like that. Played with a lot of famous people, and Randy Leacher playing bass for me, and uh, this little guy, Aaron George. He was a session player for drums for Warner Brothers, and but we'll be playing there tomorrow. I mean Saturday night. But I call my band the Honky Tonk Hound Dogs because you never know who's going to be in there. It's like waking up in the morning and seeing another hound dog on your porch, you know. So it's kind of, but it's so. John Lynch is like he's so awesome, man.
Yeah.
But I've got I'm playing down, and I'm gonna be playing in Mobile. I've got some. Get on my Facebook page, which you don't believe in, but the my buddies got started me a fan page, and they can find me on there, and I try to keep everybody updated on there as far as my schedule goes, you know. And I'm trying to keep it all close to home on my scheduling because of the release date of my album, because I really don't know. I've got people wanting to book me, and you know, I want to do a tour up down through Savannah and up through Virginia and back around, and then I want to go up through Branson, and you know, I got a lot of friends out in Texas. I was going to hit the top of Texas, go down to Corpus Christi, and come back through Louisiana. But I got a lot of stuff in mind and scheduled up. So, and I'm so thrilled that people like my kind of stuff. You know, it's just really cool. So thank y'all people for listening.
Well, I think the timing, you know, going back on it, I think the timing is impeccable, and you know, one of the things I'm trying to do is find as many people, you know, like yourself, because there's so many deserving and talented people out there. But you know as well as I do, you know, the music industry, as much as it's changed, it hasn't changed. If you're not part of the club, if you're not signed, it's really hard to get. It's easy. Fernando Perdomo, who is one of the bootleggers, who if you go to the Meet Bootleggers page, folks, you'll see who I'm talking about. But Fernando, incredibly talented guy, travels with Joe Walsh, I mean, the guy's off the chart talented. But he said during my interview with him that it's never been easier to get your music out there, but it's never been harder to be heard. You know, because there's so many platforms, there's so many avenues, there's so many of this, and still the powers that be do control, like the Spotify's. Spotify puts on their editorial playlist these guys that are signed, and then the guys like Duane, who are, in my opinion, just as, if not more deserving of the attention, don't get it because it's still the same old boy network, you know, in all genres. And
yeah, we have to fight a lot to get through the networks. You know, it's just crazy. So
yeah, getting that stuff out there. That's why it's so important for people to make sure they follow you wherever. And you know, my opinion of social media and stuff like that doesn't mean anything. I don't place that on anybody else. I mean, everybody's got to do what they got to do. We do what we do. You do what you do. But the bottom line is, once you do find them. You know, once you do find Duane on Facebook, then go to his webpage too, and go to his webpage and sign up and see what he's got going on. Because at the end of the day, you know, Duane's not going to sell your information the way that most social media will, and then he'll have access to you. So
I'm too country. I don't know how, right?
Well, you know, I'm still working on an abacus myself, so you know, I just working the way we can. But Duane, I can't tell you, man, how awesome it was to speak with you. And if you don't mind, real fast, while I am recording the audio version of this thing, would you mind doing a little station ID for Bootleggers Music Group Radio?
Sure.
Have at it,
Duane Parker. This is Duane Parker listening to Bootleggers Radio, Bootleggers Music Group. We'll try to take 3. This is Duane Parker, and you're listening to Bootleggers Music Group.
There you go, my brother. There you go. Anything else you want to share with the folks before we cut out of here, man?
Hey, there's a little guy over there on the North Carolina, Virginia line that friended me up. I listened to him. He's a young feller, and his name is Presley Barker, is it, baby? He is a phenomenal guitar picker. Yeah, his name is Presley Barker. Look him up, man. You might want to do an interview with that guy. He's a real cool cat.
Yeah,
keep it country, y'all. Or true to your heart. If you're rock and roll, keep it rock and roll. Keep it real, because that's where it's at.
If you're disco, keep it to yourself.
Yeah, that's right. That's what he said.
If you're disco, keep it to yourself. Well, hey, man, Duane, you're going to have to put me up with that guy, Presley, and give him my information and stuff. I'm going to spin out of here real quick with one of our songs, What You Feelin'? And it is right now 9:56 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 22nd day of March. This has been Paul coming to you live with Mr. Duane Parker. And I will catch you next time after this song spins out. We will turn it over to the autopilot. So here you go. What you feeling? All right, guys, I'm on the 3rd fret, about 120 clicks, I believe it is.
Cool, man.
All right. Here you go, Bruce. Hey, Leon, you okay over there on that harp? You ready to go, man?
Yes.
Hey, Ulrich, you feeling this thing, man? I'm feeling good right now, man.